Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2022. I am Dave Bryan. My co-host Alex Kozora is fresh off of another trip to Saint Vincent College in Latrobe on this Monday, August 1st. And with that, we're going to be recapping everything that he observed during the first day of padded practices at Training Camp 2022. So with that, Alex, seemed like I just talked to you several hours ago.
Did you miss me?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Monday, happy August 1st.
Happy Monday, happy August 1st, and the happy first day in pads. And that's always, to me, one of the real markers of training camp. The energy, the tone, the number of drills, the volume of practice really increases this time. You kind of really start to separate from that OTA spring workout feel that you had last week, I should say, and transition into what feels like really football in the return of the fall. And so a really good practice, I thought, overall today for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Were you excited going into it? I mean, obviously you were. First padded practice, right?
Yeah, I mean, how can you not be? Just to see those guys work, day one of pads, you're going to get backs on backers, you're going to get to watch O-line, D-line, you're going to get to observe trench play more. I got a lot of people asking me, understandably so, Alex, how does the offensive line look? How does this defensive line that struggled so much? How are they looking? Really tough to judge last week when you're not in pads. You're not working some of the drills you do when you are in pads. So the first look at that's still just the first look, but it's good to start that evaluation process.
All right, before we get going here, why don't you tell people about Lynn Testa and Touring Plans, our sponsor?
Yep, our sponsor for many, many years now, our Steelers Depot camp coverage. We cannot thank Len enough. He's always been great about reaching out to me and saying, hey, Alex, I want to be involved. I want to make sure that I'm sponsoring and helping you guys out. We really appreciate that and appreciate Touring Plans. If you're planning a trip to Disney, if you're going on a big vacation to end summer, or you're planning something for the winter when it's 20 degrees in December, something like that, you want to get away, that's the group you want to go to. They're going to help you in terms of booking, how to plan. That can be such a chaotic time, especially if you have kids and a big family. You're trying to make that last vacation count. Go to touringplans.com. Tell them Len Testa and Steelers Depot sent you. And again, cannot thank them enough as a sponsor of our camp coverage.
Absolutely. All right. Before we get going here, before I forget, let's get a lot of the house cleaning out of the way.
Yeah, unfortunately, with pads and as you kind of start getting into the bulk of camp, the housekeeping becomes a lot longer in terms of the laundry list. Not practicing today, Chase Claypool with a shoulder, Pat Frymuth with a hamstring, Frymuth doing some jogging on the side, so that's an encouraging sign. Shouldn't be out too much longer, though I kind of doubt he'll be back tomorrow. No Marcus Allen with a hamstring injury suffered Saturday. Miles Killebrew remains out with that pec injury suffered on day one of practice, so about a week he's missed. Jeremy McNichols with a shoulder. Larry Ogunjobi's not working in team. I don't think I really saw Levi Wallace out there, at least not in team. I know he battled the illness later last week, came back for a day. Didn't see 2-9 today. Might have missed him somewhere. I'm pretty sure he was not in team. Connor Hayward, though, with that right ankle suffered Saturday. He was back full. And then the new addition, the first signing of camp, Javon McKinley. Pittsburgh adding another big height, weight, speed Notre Dame receiver to add to the others. He wears number 21, so an easy guy to spot with that kind of weird-looking 2-1 for a big wide receiver.
And, of course, waived to make room for him.
Tyree Johnson, the rookie edge rusher out of Texas A&M. He was running basically fourth team right outside linebacker. TD Moultrie looked a lot better than Johnson. Johnson had been super quiet so far, and those are just the harsh realities of camp. And with the running back lines looking maybe a bit short with McNichols out and Najee Harris getting dinged a little bit with that foot injury. It looks like it's minor, but running back lines getting short and padded practices would not be surprised if a roster move was coming. I know they worked out a couple of running backs and Josh Adams, Jordan Howard, one of those guys get signed, would not surprise me.
Yeah, let's reiterate once again that Mike Tomlin doesn't seem overly concerned, or didn't seem overly concerned during his press conference about the foot injury. A couple of times during that press conference, he said it was stepped on. So now I think Najee was probably limping pretty good there, even at the end of practice. But and heck, he might even they might even hold him out next day or so. We'll see, but at least the initial word is that it's not serious, and that's really all we have to go on at this time here. And hopefully they'll start getting some of these guys missing time back fairly soon as well.
Yeah, I think most of the injuries appear to be minor. With Najee, they'll probably be careful with him. There's no big reason to rush him back. That came on the first snap of the day in terms of the run, full contact session. He went to cut to his left. I thought he slipped, but it does sound like, according to Tomlin, someone stepped on his foot. I would prefer Najee to not be involved in the tackling drills. Maybe some of because it's not tackling all day. Maybe some of the later ones, but maybe leave 22 out of the live sessions.
Okay, let's see here. We got all that out of the way there. Let's start with the quarterbacks. This time around, normally we start with the offensive line, but obviously Kenny Pickett, the big buzz today is Kenny Pickett working with the number 2 group. Mike Tomlin said you shouldn't read too much into that, but he says he knows a lot of the media will. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm with Tomlin. It's not like Pickett had been on fire last week, and this is kind of a quote unquote deserved move up the ranks. I think the plan was probably to rotate guys. You had a full, first week of practice. You get the off day. You kind of mix and match and see how Pickett looks with different groups. And so I don't believe this is some sort of actual ascension, quote unquote, where Rudolph has been overtaken as the number 2. It may very well be that Rudolph becomes the number 2 tomorrow. They may rotate things from there. I'm not quite sure, but I wouldn't view this as any sort of actual depth chart move to pay attention to. Pickett was a little bit better today. His last 2 practices, Saturday and today, have been better than where they were a couple days ago. Still needs to work on getting that ball out quicker. A lot of, long snap to throw times. I get you're kind of working with new guys, and you're not going to get sacked. That might kind of make you feel more comfortable about holding onto the ball or staying in the pocket longer. But a couple of good throws, had a nice RPO slant to Gunnar Olszewski over the middle. So, small steps for Kenny Pickett.
All right, but this was his best practice to date, right?
Yeah, I mean, the bar was set kind of low based on last week. I think people who are trying to make this out to be like Pickett had some sort of incredible, amazing practice is probably a touch too strong. But I thought it was, you could say, his best, but I think overall there's still, a ways to go, things to work on.
All right. What about the other 2 quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky and obviously Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, not too much to note overall. Rudolph's reps were maybe a bit more limited running as that third team, although not too terribly much. No turnovers, I don't think, overall. Rudolph kind of had a rough session there. Had a couple of passes batted back in his face on 2 of 3 throws, one by Delonte Scott, one by Doug Costin. So maybe Rudolph's not his best day in the entire world, but I thought the quarterbacks today largely were generally fine. I will say, actually, real quick, Trubisky had maybe the play of the day. It was a boot to the left, the first read. They read low to high on those things. Cody White in the flat. He's covered. Trubisky hits his second read. The crosser from Anthony Miller on the money on a crosser for 15 yards. And that was a really good throw moving to your left. So Trubisky showing some of that accuracy while on the move is going to be really important in this offense.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add? Would you like to rank them as far as your performance today?
I'll probably pass on that. I mean, I'd have to think about it some more. And I don't really know exactly who would be best and who would be worse. I thought it was a fine day for all 3 of those guys.
All right. And especially the way the offense has been at the start of camp is probably a welcome sight overall, right?
Yeah, I think even with the run blocking, and today was a good day to evaluate that the run game. I mean, the defense had its moments, which they're always going to do in those run sessions when you kind of know the run's going to happen. Pickett did have a nice completion off of play action during that session. That was one of a strong throw to Miles Boykin. I believe now his longest completion of training camp of about 12, 13 yards. And so that was good. But overall, the offense, certainly had its victories today.
All right. Running backs got thudded around a little bit today.
Yeah, I love to see that. Backs on backers. You never know what you're going to get there with that group. To me, the one guy to talk about, and I think I was tweeting it out during practice, and Mike Tomlin confirmed it after, so I feel pretty smart about that. Jalen Warren, the undrafted rookie from Oklahoma State, squatty body, kind of just a really rocked up sort of dude that runs hard, good leg drive. And I just loved, and I know Tomlin already said this, so I feel like I'm taking it from him, but when I was watching Warren and backs on backers, it reminded me of Najee Harris last year in the sense of that competitiveness, fearlessness. This dude was anchoring. He was sitting down, running his feet. He didn't shy away from bull rushes. And he really, not that he didn't just hang on. I mean, he was winning those reps convincingly. At one point, Najee Harris was jumping up and down and hyped up. This was pre-foot injury, by the way, and just really excited for Warren. And Warren, has worked on special teams a little bit, has caught the ball decently. He's run tough. He's run hard. There's something there with this kid. I like his demeanor. I like his kind of competitive, fiery attitude, and that really reveals itself in that backs on back stroke. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. It's you one-on-one. The train's coming at you. Can you take it on? And Jalen Warren did.
Sort of low. No problem with low man wins with him, right?
Yeah, he's as tall as me, I think. No, I think he's like 5'8". He's a very squatty body type of dude. Carries it well though, and he runs with that kind of angry man, short man demeanor. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that kind of stuck out with him. I don't think I went too terribly deep into the pass pro on his tape, but I did have in my notes that he was more than willing to do it in that. And when he runs too, man, he's not afraid to try to attempt to run over people. And in fact, I think one of the negatives that I had on him was that sometimes when he does try to run over people, he's a little bit too upright. Now, obviously, his stature's a lot lower and all, but that was one of the things that noted on that I had noted there. And look, I mean, one of the biggest things, with these backup running backs, these young running backs trying to get on the field. Is recognition and ability to pick up and pass protection, so that obviously is good to hear. Did the other undrafted back, Mateo Durant, get any shots in there?
He got at least one, maybe two. I think he lost the one that I do have noted. He's a smaller guy. It's probably going to be tougher for him. He showed some burst to the corner. They were running some actual like old school toss plays today and stuff like that with Mateo Durant, and he turned the corner pretty well. That wasn't in the actual full tackling session, so it's a little harder to judge maybe the success of some of those plays. Elsewhere, though, Najee Harris did well in that drill. Again, this was pre-foot injury. Did well against Miles Jack, Devin Bush on some bull rushes. You cannot bull rush and run through Najee Harris. You'll have to go around him to try to beat him. He's just so big, so strong. His technique, his eye level has really improved there. But again, just to go back to Warren quickly, it's not only that he was willing to do it, he did the job. Like he won those reps. And so there's obviously you want the 1-2, and that's the most important ingredient as we talk about, but then you have to actually do the dang thing. He did the dang thing over and over and over today. Really good day for Jalen Warren.
Well, that's absolutely positive, because as we've talked about, there is a path for some running back, possibly.
Yeah, there is. And again, it is just one day, and we could be talking about a whole different story a month from now, but a good first day, and that's a good start.
All right. Anything else running back position?
I got a Mike Tomlin with a good run, Benny, for Benny Snell football. Mike Tomlin loves him some Benny Snell. Mm-hmm. I thought the overall run game was successful, and that's obviously a lot to do with the offensive line probably getting a push. It was a little hard to judge maybe who was the standouts there, but just the run game I thought overall got a good push in that run session. Alex Highsmith did have a tackle for loss, but overall thought the offensive line did a good job controlling the line of scrimmage.
All right, speaking of offensive line, a couple of false starts today.
Yeah, I jinxed him. Last week I said this group's playing so clean. I was some younger, newer guys, Trent Scott, Jordan Tucker, and apparently, and this might be new, they have to take like a mini lap if you get a call for a false start. You come out of the play, you don't get to take that rep, and then you kind of have to do this like half jog. It's not a lap. I don't know what it is, but they kind of make you move around a little bit for these big guys that probably don't want to have to go run when it's pretty hot outside in the sun. And then O-line, D-line, everyone was super jumpy. Offensive lineman and defensive lineman, I think guys trying to really cheat the drill a little bit. In terms of the actual evaluation, the one note I have, and I don't mean to get people all concerned here, but I just happened to watch James Daniels a little bit. Not Daniels' best day. I think Spillane came off of him in run drill or the team session, the run session, and made a tackle off of Daniels. And then in O-line, D-line, Daniels kind of had his hands full with Chris Wormley. And so just one day, I'm still excited about James Daniels, but didn't feel like, and it's a limited window of snaps that I'm really paying close attention to, but did not feel like James Daniels' best day.
All right, not all the it was Green over Dotson to start with, right?
I think so. They had mixed and matched. Yeah, Green was first team left guard. Again, there's such a rotation there that I've kind of just become numb to it, because until I see someone like consistently 2 days in a row get those reps, I just kind of assume they're going to keep rotating.
And your boy Chris Owens?
Yeah, he's worked a little bit of center late last week. He's been primarily a guard. I know guard's a bit more new to him compared to center. He was a right tackle initially at Alabama, I think in high school as well, and then played center to finish out his Crimson Tide career. So haven't seen a whole lot. LeGlue did not have a very good day overall. He took his lumps, so I think everyone's still kind of jockeying for position for that potential ninth offensive line spot.
You reckon you can get Mike Tomlin to send us the all-20, the end zone view of
the things I would do for some training camp all-22. I'll leave it at that.
All right, wide receiver. The Lions obviously getting a little bit shorter. Deontay Johnson still on the side in team, and you obviously have Chase Claypool. You had a new guy in there as well. Talk about the guys at the top of the depth chart there.
Mm-hmm. I will say I did not watch, aside from one rep of the receiver DB one-on-ones that was happening at the same time as backs on backers. And because you're going to see receivers DBs go after it pretty much every day in some form or fashion, I wanted to watch the backs on backers. George Pickens did have a really nice catch down the left sideline in receiver DB. I do not know who it was against, but that was a good play there. One interesting thing, just talking about the group as a whole, we've spent so much time talking about the need for the receivers to block better. Obviously, that's going to be a big component of getting potential explosive 15, 20-plus yard runs. That was lackluster last year. Saw Frisman Jackson put those guys on the blocking sled, which I hadn't seen before under Ike Hilliard or previous receivers coaches. You saw the tight ends do that all the time, but on the other side of the field, the receivers were doing it on a legit blocking sled. And that was even Tyler Snead trying to do that kind of stuff. So maybe a mentality from Frisman Jackson watching the tape last year, realizing these guys got to do a better job of run blocking. One quick note on George Pickens, still really excited about his play. Today was probably quieter overall for the receivers as a whole. He has to work on his route running, though, in terms of the nuance, in terms of getting a step. I've heard Frisman Jackson coach him up repeatedly, including once today about, today he was supposed to run a 10-yard dig and he cut it off too early at like 8 or 9 yards and was just too quick on that. And you have to be more technical and more nuanced. Now that's a coach's job. Those things certainly can and probably will be improved upon. And I don't mean to splash cold water on all the Pickens side because I'm excited about this guy, but you want to talk about the biggest area for him to work on is just that nuance and timing and depth and just running everything correctly. If he does that, I think he will, then you have a really special player.
Man, Anthony Miller is put together, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's running first team over Cody White. He's really getting the chances.
I don't know if he's gonna make it or not. But going back to about, I don't know, it's been, I guess, about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I think it was during OTAs when he posted that picture. I think that Steelers.com shot of him. I mean, I know a lot of these guys are rocked up, pretty damn good. But he looked superhero like. I mean, he really looked put together.
Yeah, he definitely looks good. I don't know if he did too much in terms of the pass game today. I will know Calvin Austin, we talked about it not being in pads. Well, he showed that speed, had a nice, I think it was a jet run or a pop pass for a 13-yard touchdown today. Now, that was not in the actual tackling session, but there was more contact today. So still seeing that speed and space from Calvin Austin.
All right. How about some tight ends? Pat Freiermuth on the side.
Yeah, I wish I could really report more. I did see Connor Hayward as a true inline wide tight end on at least one snap. It's been primarily, feels like, more off-ball, Y-off kind of stuff, that split zone flow that, Pat Freiermuth did a fair amount last year. But I've seen Hayward now actually do some actual inline type of work. He was not great in backs on backers. There was some up and downness in his play. It wasn't terrible, but not as good as it could have been. So some work to do there. And then beyond that, not a whole lot with Sternberger. Rader was okay in backs on backers. One other quick note to go back to the receivers really briefly. He hasn't really caught a ton of passes in team, but Steven Sims drops way too many. He's got to be able to be more consistent. I just watch him in some drills, even on air. I don't know if that's a focus thing or what, but just one minor note there. I think about Jay Sternberger, seen some drops and questionable hands. Could say the same about Steven Sims.
Okay, I think that covers the offensive side of football. Talk real quick about the 7 shots.
Yeah, defense won again. That's been the theme, 5-2. First play was Harris scoring on a run, shotgun run there. Second one, incompletion to Pickens on a fade. Third one, Spillane and Casey had a good stop at Harris right at the goal line, but I'm pretty sure Harris did not get in. Miller, incompletion from Trubisky. Pickett came in to a fade to Boykin. That was incomplete. Justin Lane on the coverage. Should have had a touchdown. Connor Hayward slipped on a pivot route trying to break it outside. That would have been a touchdown, so not Pickett's fault, but still incomplete. And then they ran a shovel pass to Jay Sternberger for the second touchdown. They love their 7-shot shovel pass. I hate it because it's just a gimmicky. I know they're practicing it for other reasons, but it's not good for my notes because it's kind of you can't really stop it defensively. But that's how things ended up.
What about motions? About usage of motions and all?
Yeah, it's all the same hallmarks. The jet runs, the orbit motions, the trades, the work under center, then go to empty. I mean, it's very similar to last camp. Obviously, I think some of that faded away once the season began, and when you're doing it with Ben is different and probably more limiting than what you're doing with the quarterbacks right now. But nothing really new. The phrase I use with Canada this offseason, this summer, is more of. I'm seeing more of what I saw last year. More pony, more trades and shifts and motions and jet plays and stuff like that, but it's not really new if you watch last camp.
All right, defensive line.
Yeah, those guys getting after it today. Let me check my notes here. Carlos Davis, and I called him the forgotten man. I know some people remember him, and obviously people know who he is, especially after he earholed Jake Dixon, but the burst, the first step, the quickness, obviously trying to find a path there is going to be tough, especially with Leal having a nice start, but I like what Carlos Davis has done as a pass rusher. Doug Costin's batted down another pass, and so not really impacting the quarterback too much in terms of the pass rush, but getting his hands up and throwing lanes, that's good. Isaiah Loudermilk with a good push-pull today. Didn't see that on his tape too much last year. He's got to win with power. He cannot win with finesse. It's got to be bull rush and push-pull. He beat Kevin Dotson on that today, so that was a really good rep.
All right, good news there. Let's see, outside linebackers. I was hearing a little bit Jannard Avery's name, I think, on the Twitter machine today.
Yeah, I had more notes on Delonte Scott, but Avery I thought did okay in some of the O-line, D-line kind of stuff. I think backs and backs, I'd have to check my notes there on that. But, I think Avery right now is working as that number 3 outside linebacker, still running, obviously, second team. It'd be interesting if Watt or Highsmith ever got a day off, if who would jump into that, unless they're just going to do strictly side things, because it's been mainly Tuska left outside linebacker, Avery right outside linebacker. To me, though, Delonte Scott really had a good day. Just schooled Zach Gentry and backs on backers, winning outside with some power, then countering inside. Had a pass deflection of Mason Rudolph, as we mentioned earlier. His run defense overall has been good, setting the good edge, getting off a block, staying clean. I think Mike Tomlin sung his praises a bit today, so that was good. And he's our skipper. I thought had a nice day as well.
Okay, let's see. Anything on T.D. Moultrie, on the other undrafted outside linebacker?
I see a good first step. I see some burst and explosion. I think he actually made contact with Mason Rudolph today, which is a big no-no. I think a coach was telling him maybe a little helmet-to-helmet contact coming up free up the middle. You can't touch those quarterbacks. Wait till you're inside the stadium. But I see a first step, and obviously he survived the Tyree Johnson cut. He remained as a rookie undrafted free agent pass rusher, and Moultrie, I think, has been better. So don't know much about his game beyond that first step, but a good first step is a good literal first step to trying to hang on to this roster.
All right, I bet you're really wanting to talk about the inside linebackers today, aren't you?
Yeah, man. Miles Jack, it's just kind of been like quietly good, where it's maybe not any super loud plays where he's not picking off passes and doing that kind of stuff, but it's just been really rock solid in coverage, as a pass rusher, as a tackler. I mean, Najee Harris certainly gave him some good battles in backs on backers today, but Jack has just been consistently excellent as that kind of 3-down kind of guy. So I'm excited about that. And then Mark Robinson, just in that run session, the energy, the tempo, had a big stick on Jalen Warren. I think he got involved in the next play as well on a stop at the line of scrimmage to Mateo Durant. And so Robinson's name, you could hear guys really getting excited about him today and calling out his name. And I think just overall a pleasant surprise for Mark Robinson his first week in training camp.
Yeah, look, we knew he could probably play downhill, and there was first 4 days, I think, kind of got mentioned doing a nice thing or two in coverage. So we're talking about a player that's a converted running back and played one season at linebacker. So maybe all that work on offense has him understanding, that making that transition well. So hopefully, and it sounds like he loves to hit, and he obviously there's several hits from Ole Miss from last season where, I mean, he delivered, the smack, coming downhill, working towards the line of scrimmage and all like that. So maybe he can keep it up moving forward. What about UG3? Anything on any of those other guys? Obviously, Marcus Allen sideline by that hamstring's probably helping playing a part, and guys like Robinson getting another snap or two, right?
Definitely. I don't have too much in my notes today on Gilbert. He's worked some with Mark Robinson. I think Durant got him when UG3 tried to spin I don't know why you shouldn't spin in these one-on-ones. I'd go straight power on Mateo Durant there. But it's been fine overall. I think he had a couple deflections Gilbert did the other day. One breakup he had on a check down to Jeremy McNichols. So I think it's been a really competitive battle. I think the inside linebacker room is playing well overall, whether you're talking guys at the top like Jack, Spillane. Bush has been, I think, fine. Nothing great, but nothing catastrophic. And then you see Robinson and UG3 competing, and Marcus Allen. I think he's got a better track record. Buddy Johnson had a mixed bag, but had one good bull rush against McFarland today. So that's a battle that'll probably go on until the very end. And that might be one of the toughest decisions this team has to make in terms of who to cut and who to keep.
And half the battle, too, is staying on the field, too,
Right.
And obviously Marcus Allen not able to do that right now. We'll see how much longer he's able to going to be sidelined with a hamstring injury there. Cornerbacks, anything new there? You say you didn't see a lot of Levi Wallace, if any, right?
Yeah, I can't recall. I remember looking for him because I kept seeing Sutton and Witherspoon. Now, again, I didn't watch the receiver DB, and if he was involved in participating in the drill, I would have seen him, and I was watching the backs on backers, but I don't recall seeing 2-9. I'll check for that tomorrow. So Witherspoon getting a lot of snaps there. Don't have a lot of notes. The cornerbacks just maybe a little less active today. Again, first day in pads, you want to probably run the ball a bit more, do stuff that you couldn't do in the non-padded situation. I did see one dime package, though. I don't see dime too often in training camp. Just Miles Jack, if you're wondering, the lone off-ball linebacker on the field. And let me pull up who all was out there in dime. It was Akella Witherspoon, James Pierre at right corner. That probably would also be reserved by Levi Wallace if he was practicing. But Witherspoon, Pierre, Cam Sutton in the slot, DeMonte Casey, Terrell Edmonds at safety, and Trey Norwood. So that's your early look at a dime package.
Okay. Anything to add when it comes to the safety position overall?
Carl Joseph, his run fills, he was really getting after it in run session, coming downhill, hitting hard. I think he's had a good start. He's played slot corner. He's played safety. He's kind of been just around the ball. I'd like to see that for safety. And again, with Miles Killebrew now missing a week, and I'm not sure when he's going to return. It may be a little bit. I think Carl Joseph's been benefiting from those reps, and so is DeMonte Casey with Minkah Fitzpatrick on NFI still.
All right. Any special team stuff to report? Obviously, Boswell got a new deal today. That broke, I don't think, too long after practice there. 4-year extension for Boswell. $20 million in new money with him. $8 million signing bonus with him. And his cap charge for 2022, I think, increased all of $95,000 there. So got him locked up for 4 more years. His $5 million new money average is exactly the same as Justin Tucker's. So we have highest paid kickers in the league right now. And this is something we talked all offseason about. Hey, it's going to get done. It's just a matter of when.
I thought it'd be sooner than later. I'll admit, I thought it might be the first day of camp, so I was off by a week, but I figured this wouldn't be something that would drag and linger on for quite some time. I thought maybe he'd become at least temporarily the highest paid kicker in football and not be tied with Tucker, but regardless, I'm super thrilled, really excited for Boz to be locked up long term. And he's been one of the best kickers in football. Pittsburgh's going to need a good kicker. It's in the AFC North with some really good legs, and Tucker, Evan McPherson, you better be able to compete with that. And Boswell's here to stay.
I thought maybe he'd come in around 5.2 or something million new money average. I really thought that he'd come away slightly ahead of Justin Tucker. But I mean, look, there's nothing wrong. I mean, with the deal that he got. Now you just, how many more years can he play of it now? And right. No sign of slowing down, especially based on what he did last season and all. So glad that's out of the way, and now all eyes will be on whether or not Deontay Johnson gets a deal. And we obviously talked about that this morning on the podcast on the heels of Deebo Samuel signing a new deal, so we won't spend a lot of time on that. All right, you talked about 7 shots. Jerry Dulac, after the Backs on Backers said, let me find the exact quote here for you. I made a note of it because I wanted you to chime in on it. Most boring, uneventful, mundane back on Backers drill I've ever watched at training camp. Best collision delivered by Miles Jack on Derek Watt. Maybe only collision of drill. React to me.
I wouldn't go that curmudgeonly of a report. I just love football and backs on Backers, and anytime the pads come on and guys collide, I'll agree that I've seen more intense and hard-hitting ones. There weren't any monster, massive collisions, like Vince Williams would introduce some rookies by just taking their heads off, and definitely Jack had kind of that one big whoa hit on Derek Watt. But sometimes, it's not always power rushes. Sometimes guys are working on moves, trying swipes and swims and spins and stuff like that. I thought there were some really good battles, and Najee Harris against Miles Jack and Delonte Scott winning reps against Zach Gentry, Buddy Johnson, McFarland. They split reps today in terms of victory. So, I mean, it may not be as wow and as shiny as it might be in past years, but there's still a lot to learn. And I just care about what you learn about these guys. I learned a ton about Jalen Warren today, so I'm excited from that. So I don't need all the shiny tinsel to still learn a couple of things from this drill.
All right. What was the most memorable thing that you observed today?
Jalen Warren just having the balls to step in there in that back drill. I just did. And sorry, FCC, that doesn't exist for this, but just having the cojones to step in there and then perform well. It's not like he stood in there and then just got ran back 10 yards. And you're like, all right, we appreciate you stepping up and trying, but that's not going to make me feel better that you're trying when Mitch Trubisky's on his back or Kenny Pickett's on his back in a preseason game. But to step up, to have good technique, to be fearless and get the job done, and then run hard in some of the team drills as well was impressive. So overall, just a good day. No major injuries, it appears. Najee seems to be minor, so that's good there. Just really happy pads are back, and you're kind of really in the full swing of camp.
All right, give me your overreaction of the day.
I guess it might be kind of one and the same with Jalen Warren, but to kind of pivot from that, just the steadiness of Miles Jack, just the steady Eddie that, again, if you're not really if you're listening to the highlights on a daily practice, he might not show up a ton, but just consistently good in coverage, always in the right spot. Even when they do complete on him, like that completion of Zach Gentry, Jack is right there. It took a perfect throw and a great catch from Trubisky to Zach Gentry. So can this team finally have stability at inside linebacker, or at least with one dude? Been kind of searching for that, since Shazier. We'll see. It's, long ways away, but I'm certainly encouraged by where things stand with Miles Jack.
How visible is Brian Flores out there and all?
Sometimes the defense in terms of individual work is on the far field, and so you don't always really get to hear and see him. But I think it was that first or second day you watch Miles Jack and Devin Bush. They were over there during special team sessions, working with Flores on the blocking sleds, working on punch and leverage and hand placement and all that kind of stuff. So it's maybe a little harder for me to gauge because Flores and the defense can be removed in some of those teaching situations, but certainly that presence, you can still notice it, definitely. And I think the play of the inside linebacker group is no coincidence either. That group has been really strong top to bottom, and I'm betting Brian Flores has something to do with that fact.
All right, weather and crowd nice out there today? People coming up to you and saying hi?
Yeah, had some people. I think William, somebody whose name I didn't catch, said hello, so I appreciate that. Weather was good. It wasn't super hot outside, which is probably something that I like, something the players like as well. A little cloudy, but we'll take that. There might be rain tomorrow, so do a rain dance or whatever the opposite of a rain dance is, and let's hope it holds off.
All right. And you will be back out there, rain or shine, on Tuesday. And you and I will be wrapping it up about the same time Tuesday night. It would be practice number 6 of Pittsburgh Steelers 2022 training camp. Here's to hoping that the squad pretty much can continue staying relatively healthy, kind of in the same manner that they are right now. So until then, you can follow me on Twitter Twitter at Steelers Depot. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you want to donate or if you want an ad-free version of the site, please go to SteelersDepot.com. You can read Alex's full daily diaries of training camp practices, all stuffed with all the information. Obviously, we can't cover everything in 30, 35 minutes on these wrap-up, but make sure you're hitting those as well, too. Be posting pics, I think, from the great Tim Rice later on tonight as well, too. He's gotten some great shots again. He really has. So we shout out to Tim Rice as well, too. So until Wednesday or Tuesday night, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast, this special edition of the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.